Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Let me bring this in. Oh boy, we got a couple things going on, and I'm actually getting the microphone ready for later tonight. Let me bring it in a little closer. Boy, my goodness gracious. So, like every Monday night, we talk about what is happening with the connection between the mind and the body. And tonight, transformations. Well, we're talking a little bit more about the power of nature. So, let me flip over to the thing I wanted to show you first, and then we'll get going into the conversation today. But what we're going to be showing you is about the symbols in life, and then how it plays out in our physical body, the symptoms, the illnesses, the diagnoses that we could be told that we have. However, there's a deeper story to be understood that your body's trying to show you. We're going to go over that a little bit today. Stay tuned. Right back. Talking about the nervous system, and because we adjusted this one C1 the other day, and you were telling me about your eye. So what was going on with your eye?
Well, I had a corneal transplant in my left eye.
Okay.
And I have scar tissue and so forth, and I can see peripherally, but what I've noticed here in the last couple of weeks is I can see better out of that left eye, and I can't figure out why. But the only difference was what was happened when we had that big release. And I felt it in other parts of my body as well. And you mentioned digestive. I seem to be digesting a little better.
Yeah, and the reason I said that is because this red line demonstrates what the nerve at that C1, C2 level, what it can affect. And it's these zones right here. You can see where the red line goes, it interconnects. So you mentioned something when we actually did the adjustment at that moment. You said you felt a certain way. What was that like?
Well, I just had a complete sense of relaxation, and I think I almost went to sleep.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember seeing your face, and you just had this look on you of complete calm and peace.
Right.
And
well, it was calmness that, and it's hard to explain because you have to really think about it to get the right kind of words to describe when something like that happens. You know, it's kind of like an out-of-body experience that takes place. So I found it very interesting, and I have spent some thinking about it.
Yeah. Boy, that 2 weeks ago, and I traveled seminar last weekend, so we skipped a week, and this is the first time I'm hearing about this. So thank you for sharing. Any insights for people that are interested in getting well that you would recommend right now?
Well, I'm going through. I've been doing this for quite some time, as you know, but I'm finding progress in general areas in conjunction with working out that I'm not having pain in areas where I had them, which is making the workouts easier to process. Now, I'm 75 years old, so it is disgusting to be 75 years old and not do the things you'd like to do. But you can see tremendous progress, change in parts of your body that were not functioning in the manner that I'm aware that they should be. But I just accepted that as being the result of numerous injuries over my adult lifetime and young adult.
Right. So let's not accept the injuries and where people could be. We want to inform them that they can get better through exercise and the work that we do here, and probably other things too.
Well, interestingly enough, as you think about this stuff, it occurred to me a number of years ago that if I wasn't willing to spend some time and money on my own health, then shame on me. So at this particular juncture, when you find something that is actually providing a level of progress that you can measure, it makes sense to keep at it. Maybe there'll come a time when that'll stop, but if you just do maintenance, then I mean it makes your life a lot easier, a lot more pain-free days.
So let's recap a little bit. That's Will the Patient's Bill that has been attending the live sessions where we go over the mind and the body and the spirit and soul. This is like we talk about here. And I help him understand the concepts that are in this book. But the additional piece is when we get to do the hands-on healing. There's certain things that I work with, certain things that I do that have a phenomenal effect, that have repeatable, reliable, predictable results. Structure, energetic, and otherwise. So I want to say thank you to all those that are tuning in. Now you see the website scrolling along the bottom. And let me see. Apologize. And I had some other things going on. So with that being said, you saw one on the pop-up, drkeving.com. Well, I own both those websites, and they're different components of what I do, and we're tying them all together. One's more the hands-on healing. What you're seeing below there right now is the mind. Mind and the body must work together. And that's one of the biggest breakthroughs that we must figure out for each and every one of us. So when it comes to the mind, well, we must, one of the things that we've lost touch with recently is that we are part of nature. So let's dive in here and take a look. There's a whole study in the natural healing community, the spiritual healing community. One of the foundational fathers in their modern time is Ted Andrews. And he talks about animal symbolism and plant symbolism and colors, and there's just this wonderful relationship between life. We are nature. We are not much different than any other living, breathing creature out there. Very minute differences. And so we must recognize ourselves as being part of nature. And if we see ourselves as separate from nature, there becomes problems with that don't apparently make itself known right away. But if we don't see how we treat our body in a natural way, then we start adding synthetic things. We look to the outside and putting it on to make amends for ourselves, versus using nutrition, using mental balance, and using different techniques to find peace within, which results in peace externally. So part of the key to that path is chapter 3, intention and right useness. Okay, so those words I learned, and I dove in deeply with a former mentor of mine, Carol Gold, and essentially it's the idea of ethics, morality, how you go about getting your end result ultimately brings back things to you. And so there's sentences and components of that chapter that relate stories about how what we do affects the results that we get. And more oftentimes than not, and I'm sure there's other things that could be said about this, though one of the most commonly said things on the deathbed, people at the last moment, their families around them, the doctors around them, or maybe they're alone, it's the things that they didn't do that they regret. It's the things they didn't make known to others, their love, their compassion, their gratitude, their appreciation. It's the things that have real meaning in life, those vacations, those relationships. Not did they answer that one more email that night to make that extra buck, or to stay a little longer and do that extra piece of work, but they ignored their family, they ignored their friends, they ignored their own self-care. This is where the regrets of life come in at the end. And so when you look at research that talks about what people say in those stages of life, it's the relationships, it's the connections, it's how they went about life, the moral and ethical ways of life. And so why does that become important? Because ultimately, that's the vibration you're putting out. The laws of vibration that are going on is an inside-out game. And when we look at what happens in our reality, we look at the events of our lives, for example. Think about someone you see walking in the store, and you can look at their body language, and you can see that their posture's upright, they're moving with a quick pace. If they have a pleasant look on their face, you'd assume, I'm imagining that they are having a good day. What about the person who's got the shoulders slouched, they're moping forward, uh, leaning forward, excuse me, they're moping about? Well, you would probably assume that they're not having a great day. Well, either way, with that being said, the human body, the human communication is estimated when it comes to nonverbal communication somewhere between, on the low estimate, 60, 70%, but on the high estimate, 90, 95%. So some of this is, yes, facial expressions and body postures, but many of these things are intuitive. Think about mother's intuition. Think about that weird synchronicity of thinking about someone and then you see them or they text or they call you just in a short amount. These phenomena are everyday current experiences, but are also part of how your body heals and about your life's experiences. So that's what the video is all about. That's what the website below is all about, is to help you gain information about how life operates, how your body operates, how your mind operates in reality. There are many things about society, about life that we've been told are one way, but are different when we actually dive into it. What we're told and what we see can oftentimes be different. True. And with that being said, some of the factors that affect us from the outside. Well, yes, there is other people and there's choices and their decisions and how they work with us, how they instruct us, how they inform us, and how we accept that. Well, there's things like the weather that are impactful. Of course, if it's sunny outside, we dress certain ways. If it's snowing outside, we dress another way. However, the question I want to ask you is, are there bigger factors that affect the mind, that affect the body, that affect our reality? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Now, I share this with you so that you can have some greater faith that as things move forward and as we're having a lot of really interesting energy right now, things are showing up in our lives that we have to be okay with. We have to take a deep breath with and just move forward with, one step at a time, one moment at a time, as a person influential in my life. Getting stuck, ignoring, tucking things away at this time in life is where you're going to get stuck. So I'm encouraging you to move forward, even though you feel like there's no power to move forward, even though you're feeling defeated, even though you're feeling like you have no energy. It's a byproduct of what's happening up and around us right now. Let me bring you this website. It's called Solar System Scope. And I'm going to make sure the volume's down. Yes. And if you can see right here, it says 2014. I just picked a random date, but I preset it so it would flow at 1 week per second. You can see the timeline going on right there. Dates. Here's our speed. But here's the planetary motions, as we're told. I want to keep that in context. These are the planetary motions as we. All right, back to the story here. And I'm going to turn this music on a little bit. This is kind of nice. Okay, it's kind of fun, kind of spacey. There we go. And you can see these planets moving around and around and around. We're in 2015. And so when these planets do different things that are aligned in different ways, like boom, you see Pluto, Earth. When different planets line up, when there's 3 or 4 in a row, different major things happen. Watch this. It'll all line up right here in a moment. Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Earth. That's 2015. I got to tell you, the 2 or 3 people that I watch, that's not too loud. The 2 or 3 people that I watch that go into great depths of these cycles of time and what goes on in each of these planetary bodies and where they're happening in the sky. 2015 was a transformative year for me. Things got shattered in my reality. Actions and decisions were made. Some were made. Some, of course, we could have wanted to be made differently. So I encourage you to think back to 2015. What was going on in your life? And there's other cycles and other periods of time, and I just picked that because I saw it line up right there. It was very, very interesting. However, these, as they're moving around at different times and different places, and you can see in the background these white lines, this is essentially where things are happening. And me showing you this is my desire to help you see, not fully understand, because I'm still learning my way, my own self, taking a slow side hobby study over the last couple of years. But however, I've been seeing these influences in my life and my patients' lives without me telling them things are happening. Things happen that match the story playing out based on how the experts are telling me what to watch out for. It's very, very interesting. And I found some articles. I didn't pull it up, but I found some articles about how the frontal lobe, where a lot of our thinking occurs, is affected by the planetary motions and positions, the sun cycles and the moon cycles, particularly. And it becomes very interesting because there's all these connections to the human body and the different parts of the human body and the mind. And the work has been confirmed in numerous ways. And Candace Pert, if you don't know who Candace Pert is, of course, she's now passed, but her research is phenomenal. Hundreds of research articles, one of the most well-acclaimed researchers in recent past. And much of the content, here we are, that got put together, is founded, is provable with her material. And essentially it is this, I'll say this quote, the issues are in the tissues. Issues are in. What does that mean? It means that the body parts have a connection to different emotional states, that when an event in reality activates that emotional state, you feel pain in the body part. So for example, I'm pointing at shoulders right here. See, in the list have responsibilities. So some slang terms or symbolism that we use commonly in our cultures: carrying a burden, holding the weight of the world on your shoulders, shouldering responsibility. So think about accepting and living life. Now, there's also reasons why it occurs left side versus right side. And this is of the mind realm. Now, I promise you, every patient, whenever I bring this stuff up, who's new to this conversation, there's always a physical reason why it could be true. Because it must be. There must be a physical reason why it's true. When something's happening in one area, it's also happening in another area. It's kind of like a calculus equation. When you see something change on one side, it changes on the other side just because you change the variables. However, the equation still works. So there's a mental realm, a physical realm, and when one changes in one area, one changes in another area. It's kind of like the statement, as above, so below. This goes along with the concepts that are found, and I'll pull it up here. Concepts, not that one. Concepts that are found in, pull up chapter head. Chapter 5, Life is a Mandelbrot. Benoit Mandelbrot was able to discovered the equation that would express infinity visually on a computer. That's what one of the major things he's famous for. And so you've seen the screensaver 1,000 times. I'll see if I can pull up a nice. And it's called a Mandelbrot set. See, you can get a good picture of that while we're. Hopefully you can see. Let's see if I can zoom. Mandelbrot set. Okay. So look at some images. There's a Mandelbrot sets. And this image right here, called the beetle. Interesting. I like to look at things in our past and how they connect to the but yeah, the beetle, the Beatles, the music. Anyway, no matter what you do with it, no matter where you go with it, ultimately that image reappears. And let's see, Mandelbrot zoom. Get an actual fun zoom. And we'll just watch it for a minute. And now I'm going to put this on mute because I don't want to get flagged necessarily for showing somebody else's content. However, the truth of the matter is, here we are with Mandelbrot zoom. Oh, not that one. Oh, I'm right in the middle again. Here we are. But here's a Mandelbrot zoom, and you can see it's going deeper and deeper. It's going to pick one of these black areas, zoom into, and all of a sudden you'll see this image reappear. And it continues to reappear, reappear, reappear. And the point being is, this is representing infinity. And it's in a computer program. And the more it goes in, the more it stays the same. Although there's different iterations, different protuberances, so to speak, of these images. There you see the beetle again, once again. It goes through different patterns and different layers of it, and boom, there it is again. And you just keep seeing it. It repeats and repeats and repeats. And it's just mesmerizing. And I think there's different ways and different factors of how to put it in. But in essence, our world, our reality is like this. You see it in so many ways, where it pops up in nature. And see if I can find something quick while we're doing it live. Mandelbrot, I'll type in Mandelbrot in nature. Oh yeah, so beautiful. Here we are, Mandelbrot in. So I believe apricot. No, I'm totally not an apricot. That's okay. Let's see. Yeah, there it is, right here. In the chat, who's got that? Who knows what that is about? Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Hopefully you can. Are we wide awake? And if you're getting some value, let me know what that vegetable is. I mean, I'm drawing a blank on the name of that vegetable right now. Fractal art. I want to see brought in nature. Like we see it in where they first discovered it, first noticed was in shorelines. Yeah, here we go. And Benoit Mandelbrot kept seeing the pattern repeating. And I believe it was on the English coast. Like this. I haven't done it. It's an official picture or something. Pictures of the same thing. And so the idea that was, the first time I came across this concept, of course, was The Simpsons, and one of the zoom in, zoom outs where they zoomed out of Homer's head and they went into space, ultimately back into space, and then out of the universe, and boom, you're back at Homer. Everything looped back around, and we see this concept throughout culture and history and lore, and we see it in science. When I say science, boy, that's a very loaded word right now. So much in science, so much variety in science. It's like trying to get into the wine connoisseur game, and you've only tasted 5 bottles of wine in your life. By all means, I believe we're still scratching the surface of what it means to be in this reality, or at least we're being told different things in drips and drabs. If you're searching for it, if you're really looking for it, you can find some really interesting. Basically, makes our whole reality seem different. And when I do the healing work that I do, oftentimes for especially for younger people, it looks like a magic show. It looks like I'm doing things that the body should never be able to do. However, it's a normal feature of anatomy that when one knows how to move it and shift it and operate within it, the body heals every time without exception. Simple. Remove interference, the body functions well. Simple. That being said, I want to say thank you for everybody for tuning in tonight. If you got some value tonight, I want to say thank you for connecting and thank you for being part of this. And if you have any questions, reach out. There's a link below for the most current website, which has the greatest offers, and everything ultimately can get connected there. If you want a free breakthrough clarity conversation of how something like this conversation can help you in your life, how you can learn to read the signs of your pain and understand what your mind and your life and your body are telling you what to do, or what to work on, what to let go. That's actually one of the biggest pieces of what needs to be let go of. The beliefs, the pains, the worries, the doubts, the fears, the angers, all those things are playing out in your physical body. And there's more vision living mindset. Once and as we get handled on how to let go of things, we need to reorient ourselves with proper information and knowledge of how to be successful in life. What are the steps, the procedures to do that? And that's not necessarily giving you all that information, but giving you the principles to help you acquire what is needed and apply what is needed to bring your life to a better place. Blessings and best regards. I want to thank you for your time today. And I'll see you next Monday, 7 p.m. Talking about the nervous system, and we're gonna adjusted this one C up right here, and we're gonna go. Thank you. Oh my God.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Kevin Jarina, and this is the first introductory video in becoming your own healer.